Well, it's good to see you again, Louise. I think that after we'd already had a great stint on the Brains magazine podcast, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring you onto the Prosperity podcast today with me. And obviously, there's a lot that I know about the five chairs, but you always get those moments where somebody comes across something for the first time. So I always think that while me and you have a pretty good understanding of what it is, that there may be one or two that don't. I think it'd be really good to kind of start with what are the five chairs and how did this all come about?
How did it all come about? What are the five chairs? Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Interestingly enough, I've got them right here. Look at that.
Beautiful. Very
It's
nice.
it's all related basically. I was thinking about this the other day. You know what it's like when from the day we're born, we start learning behaviors from people around us,
Hmm.
and some of those behaviors are a bit unhealthy, and they become unconscious, and then they have negative impact on us, and they limit us. It's about five chairs is really designed to make people more conscious about their behaviors so that they can have healthy behaviors. So it acts as a sort of mirror. So each chair represents a style, an attitude, and because attitude in life is everything,
Hmm.
that you can adopt, and with all the impact that that will have. For example, let me just give you a very quick example. So imagine you go to work and you do a presentation, yeah, and somebody in the meeting cuts you off. So you get triggered. What happens next? So this is where we get into, well, you have a choice. Now, I could, for example, if I'm in the red chair, I could snap back and attack and then blame and criticize the other person. I'd be a jackal
Hmm.
in the model. Or I could I could shrink and retreat, and I could tell myself, they're right, I'm not competent enough, I'm useless, and I become a hedgehog
Hmm.
in the yellow chair. Or the other choice that I could have is that I pause, I take a moment, I calm down, and I ask myself, so what's really going on here? And I'm in the meerkat chair. Or I could go into the blue chair and rise in my power, let's say, center myself, be assertive and confident, and respond with intelligence, not impulse.
Hmm.
So I'm leading um, with my dolphin because that's the animal, because all the chairs have different animals, and the dolphin is the animal of the blue chair. Or I could go into this chair here, which is where I will stretch my heart, actually, and I'll connect beyond the trigger that the person has created in me, and I will speak with empathy.
Hmm.
And I'll be speaking from my giraffe.
Hmm.
So the idea is that in any moment, especially when you're triggered, we do have a choice. And what we bring into the world is going to have an impact on everything, on ourselves and on the people around us. So let's try and become a little more conscious about the choices that we can have in every moment.
Hmm. I love like specifically with the giraffe that you that the purple chair. You called it the giraffe because the giraffe has the biggest heart of all the land animals, which I think is a beautiful
Metaphor.
metaphor, yeah, of empathy, compassion, uh,
Yes.
thinking beyond the the ego.
Yeah, I think it's like if we can train our minds, because we can train attitude,
Mm,
in a situation where we are triggered rather than go into the stimulus response reaction, which is so natural, is to be curious, number one, because curiosity disarms judgment in the mind, but to be able to even ask the question, what's going on in them right now? Why are they behaving like that? What do they need? What's important for them? The power of that thought is incredible, as far as trying to stay connected with the person and remembering, that we are not responsible for other people's behavior.
mm,
Other people are in their own world. They're doing stuff which is appropriate from them in that moment. but it's moving away from being responsible for other people's behavior, but being curious about trying to understand where they're coming from rather than shutting down the conversation, which is the easiest thing to do.
And do you see it as it just being a matter of having an understanding of how we can act better with other people so we have a more compassion towards someone else, or does it also lead into us being connected to ourselves?
Great question. In fact, the five chairs is all about self-leadership first, is how am I understanding myself? How am I managing myself as I understand how I'm reacting into the world, what triggers me, why things trigger me, and how to look after myself first. Because then from self-management comes managing other people and other situations. So really the five chairs is much more about that, is the cultivating a deeper self-awareness based around the language more of what am I feeling, what am I needing, what do I need to do in situations, which is going to be appropriate.
Mm. And this five chairs movement, I see it as a movement.
Yeah.
Um, was it a case of you just saw a gap in the market, or how did you kind of come up with the concept, and what was the problem that you were solving within the whole build and structure of the five chairs?
The problem was actually the relationship I had with my mother.
Mm,
Complicated, which led me on a whole journey of trying to help myself and understand how I could improve some of my behaviors, which were being triggered. And on that journey, I came across some beautiful models in the world of psychology and in the world of communication, nonviolent communication with Marshall Rosenberg, for example, from whom I borrowed the metaphors of the jackal chair, the red jackal chair, and the giraffe of the um, connect chair. Then I thought, well, and I took, it's actually quite difficult to invent anything nowadays, but I took the best of everything that had a deep impact on me and created the five chairs from that, basically. So there's a mixture of transactional analysis, there's nonviolent communication, there's Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Many people who deeply influenced my way of being in the world, I tried to bring together in something which was very psycho-accessible,
mm,
easy to follow, easy to implement in a moment-to-moment basis. I think that's what I wanted to do, is offer something practical that everybody can use, whether they're a young child or a fully grown adult.
mm. That makes
So it's I heaps of gratitude to anybody who's ever helped me in my life, because
mm.
they've helped me bring a yet another model into the world that can help people, hopefully. Well, that's what, is the big mission, is to help as many people as possible.
I think when I first came across the five chairs, immediately I started to think, oh, well, what chair and what animal really represents like the majority of how I hold myself, how
Mm.
I navigate my way through life. How do we decide then, Louise, which chair we are currently sitting in?
Self-observation. I mean, when we are capable of doing it, and I think this is the magical moment, is the very often we're on automatic pilot, we're in an unconscious mode. But if we can, the body will tell you, the body never lies. If we're in touch with our body, then and listen to our body, we can track our emotions more carefully. And in that moment, as emotions change, in particular towards more negative emotions, then you can take a moment to pause, which is the meerkat, and say, okay, what's going on here? Then you've already recognized that maybe you're in the jackal chair because you're being judgmental, or that you're in the hedgehog chair because you're feeling very vulnerable. Once you are aware of the attitude or the behaviors or the state that you are in, you can manage it. But without that consciousness, or uh, you can't, without that attention, you can't bring any intention to change it. But once you're aware, and you can say, I see where I am, I can move, I have choices. Then you can intervene with your own behavior through your own mind and start dialoguing with a different narrative, which will take you into a different place. But that's self observation. And we're not always conscious enough to do that. Or it might be a little bit late when we've already snapped at somebody. However, it doesn't really matter because we can still redress the balance. We can still correct the behavior and even apologize to somebody and say, sorry, I was having a tough moment, or I'm under pressure. But I think we're in all the chairs a lot of the time. And some people maybe are more giraffe. Some people are maybe more giraffe and empathetic. Some people are maybe more assertive. But I think it's a whole process. Let's get to know ourselves a little bit more and try and find balance our own personal profiles so that we're more effective.
Mm. And do you feel like we can help someone take up a better chair? Like, do you kind of see them as progressively better, or do you see them not as uh, about
Yeah.
reciprocity, but is there benefits in each chair, or is there a need to progress? And can we, if we identify somebody, maybe a partner or a work colleague that's a jackal, like can we actually help someone move, or is it really down to you as an individual?
No, I love that. I think we're all jackals, and I think it's when somebody is in jackal mode where they are displaying their more dysfunctional behaviors, as a person receiving that, it's how good are we at actually empathizing and understanding that maybe they're going through stuff, maybe they're under pressure, because we usually go into jackal mode when we're off balance. We're out of our minds, and that's why we're not thinking rationally. So a big part of it is, can we remind ourselves that we have been there, we do that too, and can we empathize, and can we um, treat that person with empathy, and sort of even say something like, I noticed you're upset. What's going on? Can I do anything? Um, and it's the same with all the chairs, I think. So you're absolutely right. On the one part, it's you recognizing yourself in a clear way where you are, but also maybe nudging people to look at themselves. And there it's about using careful language, because we don't want to come across as being judgmental, but it is through the voice of empathy that we might be inviting them to realize they have another choice of being in the conversation, etc. But we have to be very aware to do any of that, because you know how emotions can take us over. And
Absolutely, yeah.
we do it much more easily when we're calm and collected, etc. But
Yeah.
it doesn't always. I mean, the world we live in drives us, pushes us.
Yeah, and I think when you said, we're not responsible for anybody else's behavior, and really, if you want to change someone's position in a chair, the way to do that is by changing your own position, isn't it?
Yes, it's like yes, and that again. It takes a lot of self-awareness in the relationship. Means that you're very aware of what's going on, of the dynamics, and this ability to forgive somebody else when they're jackling you is not obvious.
No, no, it isn't. I mean, I love the more that I've discovered and tapped into the five chairs, like I'm enthusiastic about it. Like I resonate with it. I enjoy it. It has both a resonance, but also it has the curiosity, but it's exciting, like to
Hmm.
even for me to feel like, yeah, I feel predominantly being in that meerkat position, I feel like that's kind of where I've been most of the year, of observing, of pausing, of assessing,
Yes.
and then moving into that. I find it so fascinating. But how can people find out more, Louise, about the five chairs?
Well, they could watch the TEDx talk actually, which is on YouTube. It's also on the website which is www.the5chairs with the number five. com, the5chairs.com. I'm actually very, very pleased with the TED because we've now reached 6.5 million visualizations, which means that people are finding it useful. I think they're sharing it on, and that is for me, I feel truly grateful because the mission is really to help as many people as possible help themselves. So the web that would be a good place to go to because then it'll help people understand more the foundation of the 5 chairs, how it
Yeah.
works. So
And
thank
6.5 million views is bonkers.
you. It's not bad, is it?
Oh, it's bonkers. Like I love it. And
You
I
know what?
think because you go on.
There was a statistic that I heard
Hmm.
uh, the other day, which I was amazed by from somebody who works with TED, is that only 0.01% of all the 270,000 TEDx uh, uh, um, actually have more than a million.
Wow.
So, so the 5 chairs is doing really well. I'm so happy about that.
Well, you should. That's like a badge of honor. Lots of pride and yeah, making a difference. And I think it's because everybody has a chance to be able to identify with one of the five. So it's very inclusive. Cuts across discrimination and race and ethics and morals. It's something for everybody. So
Yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
I really do believe that everything in life is attitude. And if we could only train that more, because we can train our attitude, but I think people take it for granted that, or they don't even think about it. You know, does when does one ask one's question, what attitude do I want to bring into this room with me?
Yeah,
Or what was my attitude? Or
yeah.
how is my attitude affecting people? So absolutely. I think we could all work more on that.
Louise, thank you for joining me. It's been great.
Thank you. It's always great speaking to you, Mark. Thanks a lot for the
Thank
occasion.
you.